إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. My dear respect brothers and sisters, Jazakumullah khair for joining in, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this session for His sake, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us sincerity for us to go forward. In the past weeks we were talking about how can we knock on the doors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can accept us and accept our dua. And we focused on one of the most important steps in strengthening the relationship between the servant and his Lord is through the dua. Because the more that we submit ourselves, the more that we perfect this type of worshiping, the better that we will become and the more fruitful it will become. And we said that it's important that when someone makes a dua, that he shows that he is faqir, he is humiliated in the sight of his Lord. And today we're going to be talking about two things: is what is the benefits of being secretive in making a dua, and second thing is how can we taste the beauty of dua. Okay, so and what do we mean by tasting the beauty of dua? Because brothers and sisters, some of us when we make dua, we don't feel its tranquility. We don't feel how beautiful it is. We don't feel how much soothing it would be in our chests and our hearts while we are doing it. So the question here, brothers and sisters, what can I do? What can I do that would make me feel the beauty of the dua? It would soothe in my heart and makes me want to do this again and again. And here the scholars, they direct us and telling us that one of the ways that you could feel this dua, feel your dua, is that you would, and they would say al-faqru wa dhul, that you would feel poor in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you would feel the humility in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what some of the scholars like Sa'id ibn Jubair. Sa'id ibn Jubair, one of the famous tabi'een, in which that this man, he was a scholar at the time of Al-Hajjaj. So one time the Hajjaj took the scholar because he wanted to get rid of him. So what Sa'id ibn Jubair said, he said, ما أراني إلا مقتولا وسأخبركم. I'm seeing myself that this man is going to kill me, okay? And I'm going to tell you of something, okay? إني كنت أنا وصاحباي لي دعونا حين وجدنا حلاوة الدعاء. He said, me and my friends, me and my two of my friends, we were sitting and we tasted the beauty of the dua. And he's saying that when do we taste it? Because they felt that there's no way for them to direct themselves except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is when they felt the humility, and they felt how poor they are in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, ثم سألنا الله الشهادة. We will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us martyrdom. فكلا صاحبي رزقها, that both friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given them the shahada. So he's waiting for him by himself. So again, they were making dua, they felt the beauty of the dua, they asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shahada, both of his friends got the shahada, and now he's waiting. He said فكأنه رأى أن الإجابة عند حلاوة الدعاء. He said, so what did Sa'id ibn Jubair felt? He said he felt the beauty of the dua when he felt the humility, and he felt it even more when he know that his dua is going to be answered. Okay, and that's the real beauty, brothers and sisters. And the two come together. You feel the humility. You feel the how poor you are in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then after that you feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is close. You feel that your dua is going to be answered, and that's going to add to the beauty of the dua. And that's why subhanallah, people like Ibn Ata, he tells us, من وجد ثمرة عمله عاجلا فهو دليل على وجود القبول آجلا. He said whoever felt that that his dua is answered. This is one of the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have accepted from him. You know, and unfortunately, brothers and sisters, we make so much dua, and that's part of the nature of the human being, is that we forget that sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have answered our dua. You know, and insan by his nature, humans by their nature, we are forgetful. And sometimes we might only remember the dua that was not answered, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have answered many of our dua. You know, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يعني يعني how a human being, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so many things, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it to them. Uh, وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب. If my servant asks you about me, I am pleased. I am pleased, close. وآتاكم من كل ما سألتموه, and He would give you whatever you would ask for. وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها. And if you count the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would not be able to count it. So, brothers and sisters, so this is kind of the beauty of the dua, that you would feel the humility, that you kind of knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah is going to answer your dua, and that's part of the confidence, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that whoever feel confident that his dua is answered, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to answer his dua. And when you have that feeling, that's part of the beauty of feeling the dua. Now, brothers and sisters, we're going to be talking about an extremely important, يعني, I would call it subspecialty within the dua that many Muslims nowadays are neglectful of. Many Muslims, they don't do. Okay, and what is that? إخفاء الدعاء, that we make our dua in secrecy. Okay, so Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, he narrate to us 10 benefits of why should we make a dua in secret. And wallahi, those 10 secrets or 10 points, when you read them and when you think about them, it encourages us to practice this even more. So let's see what Ibn al-Qayyim says, because this is one of the things that many of us, when we make dua, you might somebody brag about the dua, so it's not a secret dua anymore. You might say someone shouting their dua. You might ask someone like, it's maybe in the time of Ramadan, he's making his voice very high, so maybe everybody around him would hear what he is asking for. But there is nothing beautiful and nothing would make you feel close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than making the dua, okay? More than making the dua in secret. And that's part of the way you establish a relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But subhanallah, if you compare Islam to many religions, brothers and sisters, Islam wants you to have a direct relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we don't have any partners that we partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to Islam, does not have a son, does not have a daughter, does not have a brother, does not have a relationship. You have there is no priest or a man of religion stand between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you wanted to confess, you confess to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are sad, release that stress that is sitting in your heart directly toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is nothing more beautiful that you know and you recognize, and you for sure know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly listening to you. So what are some of the 10 things what are some of the 10 benefits that we would see when we are making a secret dua? Okay, Ibn al-Qayyim, he said, إن أعظم إيمانا لأن إنه أعظم إيمانا لأن صاحبه يعلم أن الله سبحانه وتعالى يسمع الدعاء. It's one of the greatest boosters of iman, okay, is that when you make dua in secret and you know that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is listening to you in secret. When you are saying the dua, and not your cousin, not your wife, not your kids, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listens to that dua. That gives you a boost of faith. It tells you that, hey, no one is listening. This is like you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because no one can listen to those words that you are humming except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what the very first benefit, this is kind of way that you boost your iman. Second thing is إنه أعظم في الأدب والتعظيم. It's like he said, this is one of the ways that you conduct yourself and you behave yourself with respect when you are dealing with your Lord, and that's the way you gratify your Lord, because when you're not, you don't shout at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You ask him as a beggar would ask his master. That this is how would, like, for instance, brothers and sisters, let's elevate ourselves, and how would a normal person ask the governor, or ask the president, or ask somebody who's higher status? He asked with him in a most in a respectful way, low to. What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the king of all kings, the lord of all the lords, the one who owns everything, and everything at his disposal? Don't we want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the most honorable, respectful way? So this is the way you establish that, by having a secretive dua. إنه أبلغ في التضرع والخشوع. It's one of the ways that you would further, you know, humble yourself, and further have khushu', concentrate better in doing your dua. And that's the ultimate purpose of the dua, that you would break your, and you show that you have a broken heart. You would have you humble yourself in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like a poor person asking his Lord, and etc. You lower your voice, and you would humble yourself, and you would ask, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you. And so again, that is the third characteristic, is better for you to humble Allah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fourth one, إنه أبلغ في الإخلاص. It's one of the ways that you would further be able to have sincerity. You're not telling everyone about your dua. It's a way you have be sincere. It's a relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sincerity, one of the conditions for any deeds to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And without sincerity, your dua is not, your any action is not accepted, because you're doing it for show, or you're doing it for other people to look at you. So that's the fourth reason. The fifth reason, إنه أبلغ في جمعية القلب. It's one of the ways that you could collect yourself, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is listening to you. But if you raise your voice, you would have less energy. But when you say it in secret, is you were able to collect your heart further, and strengthen your heart further, that you would and in making that dua toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The sixth reason, إنه دال على قرب صاحبه من الله. It's an indication that whoever making that dua, he's closer to his Lord. When somebody's shouting, what is that indicative of? That you are shouting at somebody's far away. But when you say it in secret, that it tells you that the person who's listening to you is very close. He's listening to you. You know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيب. If my servants ask you about me, I am close. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. That I would answer the dua of a person if he asks me. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. So let them ask me. So it's an indication that whoever you're asking is definitely close. The seventh reason, أنه أدعى إلى دوام الطلب والسؤال. It's one of the ways that you continue to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the same thing over and over. So you would not be able to get bored. Like, for instance, if someone shouts and he lost energy, he thought, man, this is very tired. They're tiresome. But when you say it in secret, it gives you the energy to ask for the same thing over and over and over. Um, the eighth one is in إخفاء الدعاء أبعد له من القواطع والمشوشات. Again, when someone make a dua in secret, it makes him concentrate. It makes him away from all the disruption of this world. Sometimes people, when they shout, and it distracts them. But when you say it secretly, you avoid all this distraction away from you, and you makes you more able to concentrate with your dua when you're making this بإذن ta'ala. The ninth one, إنه أعظم النعم الإقبال على الله. Ya Allah. One of the greatest ni'am, brothers and sisters, that you are willing and making this dua in secret. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided you to do this, that's a ni'mah in itself, because that shows that you are you're directing your request only toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're humbling yourself toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not asking anyone except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you do so, what happens? You avoid many things. You avoid the distraction, like I mentioned, and most importantly, you avoid people who are gonna envy you. Again, subhanallah, when you do things in secret, you know, uh, it avoid the people who could envy you. فسبحان الله, as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, استعينوا على قضاء حوائجكم بالسر والكتمة. Try to go about doing anything that you want in secret, because it avoid these distraction, avoid the people become envious of you. You're like, well, mashallah, this guy, he always make dua. No, just make it a direction between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe when people talk about you, maybe they could make hasad of you. They might envy you. And that's why the people, subhanallah, brothers and sisters, that's why the shuyukh and the people who have done this many times, what they said, make it a secret, in which that وأن لا يطلع عليه أحد. Don't make anyone known of this request that you're making to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ويكتمون به غاية التكتم. They would make it super secret, as if it's like something of a high government profile. No, it's extreme. Just me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like you're bragging about it. No, make it something that is extremely secret between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And people, they said, as some of the scholars, they say, والقوم أعظم شيء كتمانا لأحوالهم مع الله. These type of people, they are so secretive in the way they conduct themselves with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to know anything about it, because this is the way they think, this is the way they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have blessed you, this is a great blessings. You're having a direct line between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is the way you feel His love. This is the way you live, His closeness, the uns of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That this is the way, and even the starters, brothers and sisters, this is the way you start. Start by making this dua between you and Allah, and you feel that there is, you have a relationship between you and Him. He's listening to you. He's there for you. He's going to answer you, and even and you feel the presence of the tranquility and within the room that you are making. And subhanallah, this is something that one of the easiest way to establish this direct connection between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the 10th one is in الدعاء هو ذكر للمدعو. What is dua? It's a type of dhikr. You are remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we do any sort of remembrance, it's a secret remember. It's the way we do it. Any sort of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we do it in secret. And when we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with His names and His characteristics, this is the way you make dhikr. You're remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's one of the ways that we could make dua. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to end with this one thing, and this is one of the most important aspects when it comes to dua, is what are we asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we make dua? Are you, have you ever thought of making dua about your akhirah, about your hereafter? Or is all your dua is directed to requests that you needed for this dunya? It's okay. I'm not saying that it's haram. No. If you want wealth, if you want wife, if you want house, if you want a car, if you want these materialistic things, it's fine. But have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you in your hereafter? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you to make a qiyam al-layl, to perfect your worshipping? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you to enable you to do this kind of deed? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he would for instance increase your faith? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Him to guide you into the straight path? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how that He would elevate your status in the hereafter? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He would purify your heart? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you among His awliya? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to perfect your relationship between you and Him? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you would be eased to cross the bridge in the hereafter? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you would make your heart soft when you're listening to the Quran? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the humility that you would need it in worshiping Him? Have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fill your heart with tranquility and etc.? Brothers and sisters, many of us, and it's fine, I'm not saying that people sometimes should elevate themselves from time to time, but yani, after the quests that you have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this dunya, have you asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about how could you the hereafter? What do you need it for the hereafter? And that's one of the greatest يعني, thoughts or conclusions that Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, have come up with. What did Imam Ibn Taymiyyah have said? Look what he said. Yeah, this is like the conclusion of all conclusions. Yeah, as he said. He said, تأملت أنفع الدعاء. I thought about the most beneficial dua. تأملت أنفع الدعاء. I thought it through. What is the best dua? فإذا هو السؤال فإذا هو سؤال الله العون على مرضاته. الله أكبر. That you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you. That you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you to satisfy Allah. You know, that you would ask, Ya Rabbi, how can I enable me to do my rights towards you? You know, and that's the greatest thing that anyone would ask for, brothers and sisters. You know, why are you here in this dunya? I mean, you're here for one purpose. You're here for as a test. You're here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. You're here for one purpose, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some scholars like Ibn Ata, he understood that. Yani after yani, they learned the conclusion of all conclusions from Ibn Taymiyyah. What he said, Ibn Ata, he have a very beautiful saying. Wallahi, this should be written in gold. What he said? He said, خير ما تطلبه منه هو ما يطلب منك. Ya Allah, Ya Allah. He said, the best thing that you ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the best thing that you would ask of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to ask what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking of you. So you would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rabbi, make it easy for me to worship you. Hadina as-sirat al-mustaqim. You know. That's the thing. We would not be able. Who helped us? Who guided us? Who took our hands into the right way? And all of this, that you would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you to be a better Muslim, to help you, to guide you, to be closer to Him. Ask Him, how, Ya Rabbi, help me to worship you. Ya Rabbi, help me to enable me to do things that you ask me. And that's the best of the dua. Because once that happens, brothers and sisters, the rest, the materialistic things that you're looking for, is going to come afterward. Because if He's happy with you, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with you, the rest of the stuff comes. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have rida, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with you, then the rest would come. As some of the tabi'een have said, they said, what should we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So, Allahumma inni as'aluka ridaka wal jannah. He said, oh Allah, I ask you that you be satisfied with me. He says, what about you? What about if I ask Him about other worldly things? He said, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with you, then the rest would come. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have rida, is satisfied with you, then the rest will come. And if you think that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with you, He's not going to give you money, He's not going to give you a wife, He's not going to give you a house, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is worldly things, the worldly things. And subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we always say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given this dunya to the Muslim and the non-Muslim. And this is indeed true. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who have He given Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this dunya? You will see rich Muslims and rich non-Muslims, But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only have given this deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given this deen to study the deen, to understand this beautiful religion, to know about this religion, to know about Allah, to know about your existence, only to the ones He loves. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those people that He loves. So I hope this is a beneficial lesson that many of us have learned at least a few things. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and make us among His chosen ones, and give us the sincerity to be closer to Him. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the strength to make dua to Him, and always be closer to Him. And this is indeed a blessing that very few people would understand it. Jazakumullah khair, brothers and sisters. I hope that many of you would share this lecture so more people would benefit. Bi-idhnillah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.